the pain changes, the pain gets better. But what really happens is we learn and we make those choices every day that, like I said, I don't like the way that I feel here. So I need to do whatever it's going to take me to get here. And I'm not saying I did that every day, every hour, every week. I faked it a lot. I'm still faking it a lot. But inside of faking, I find that there is true authenticity because we do all have so many blessings. There is so much joy in every or any moment that we allow it.
Welcome to the Blueprint Breakers podcast. What is a blueprint breaker? If you live your life outside the typical traditional lifestyle blueprint, you are a blueprint breaker. We are here to start a conversation, to assemble resources, and to build a community. This podcast is for empowered women in midlife and beyond who are preparing for a powerful next era of life. My name is Amy A. Palmer. I am your host and facilitator for our conversations. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. To stay connected, up to date, and to receive all of our free resources and gifts along the way, join us at community.blueprintbreakers.com. Today, I have the honor and pleasure of speaking with my friend, Tracy Johnson. Stephanie is one of those people just filled with light and love and hope. And it's just inspiring to just be in her presence. She's just one of those people. I've known her for a very long time, and I've wanted to feature her on this podcast for quite a while. She has achieved tremendous things in her life, and we're going to talk about that in our conversation. And she's also faced great tragedy. And that has really blown me away with how she has managed and navigated a challenging and traumatic season of life with such grace and hope and faith and light. And I think you will find her story very inspiring. And I am excited for you to meet her. Well, hello, Stephanie.
Hello, Miss Amy Palmer.
Good to see you today.
You as well. Thank you.
Now, we've been trying to have this conversation for a very long time. Well, and I think everything happens I don't know. Sometimes everything happens for a reason. I don't like that saying, but it seems
Divine
like
timing is my newest tactic.
Yes, divine timing. Perfect. I love it. I wanted to
Well, we
share.
love it, but we don't always love it, right?
That's true. I wanted to share one of the reasons why, you've been one of my, top, I need to talk to her and I need to talk to her on my podcast people. I mean, I met you back in the 90s. So
when we were 4.
You were 4 years old, but it was early in our careers. And I connected with you from the very beginning. You're just very inspiring I had looked up to and admired you right from the beginning. And just so my audience knows, because they haven't met you yet.
You're right, right.
I knew even from our young age, you were somebody that was going to take risks. You were going to live life to its fullest. You were going to experience joy and spread it to other people. And you're going to live life on your terms and all those things that I saw in you from the early days of us meeting. And then even though we don't see each other a lot, we've never lived in the same state. We don't get to see each other in real life at all. Thank God a lot of people hate on social media. A lot of reasons I love it.
Yes.
And this relationship we have is one of the reasons I do love it, because I've been able to see just how your life has unfolded, how our lives have unfolded together and that kind of thing. And you just bring so much light to people. And I've always just really enjoyed that.
Thank you. I didn't want to interrupt you, but inside I'm like, thank you. I don't deserve that, but thank you.
You do deserve that. And I just wanted to give you a platform to spread your light even more. But I'd love to have you share with us. Yeah. You know you're a blueprint breaker. You know that you have lived life on your terms. Tell us a little bit about that. What has that looked like?
Oh, wow. Living life on my terms. Well, I think that it's something I did without intention, probably at the onset. Growing up, I always looked a little different than the ones I was growing up around. And I think that sort of began as young, small, tiny Stephanie, just an eye opening, again, just a foray, just a small little peek into what was in store for me. And I have done things a little bit differently. I like to say left of center, which, I try to own. As I've grown older, I've appreciated those types of labels or comments or tags as compliments. But
Yeah.
as a child, as an adolescent, fitting in is what we want to do.
Yes.
And I tried desperately. I should have known, in the fourth grade when I begged my mom to give me layers in my hair that,
Uh-huh.
little beige Jewish girls aren't meant to have that kind of hair. And instead of it looking cute like my friends, it just looked big. And so that was like, one of the small things that can really like rock your esteem
Yes.
as you grow and as you learn who you are, it's already so confusing. So then not to feel as if you fit in, and most of us feel as if we don't fit in. Mine was visible as well as internal. So it was a little tougher to hide. And I was a Caucasian girl. I grew up Jewish. My family looked white, but I didn't. And so it was confusing. I was probably adapting a lot of resiliency as I went along. But in retrospect, then, and even as I feel today as a grown woman, I never felt very resilient. I never felt as if I was taking the jabs on the chin. I felt like they were all gut punches and I felt knocked down a lot. But one thing my mom told me that she knew about me at a very young age, she called me her cat and she said she knew I'd always land on my feet. And, she didn't ever really give me enough rope to hang myself. So I kind of did that on my own later, but, all needed. And so that really started it, and so I can't give myself credit for it. I think it just sort of happened, and a word I know now is that I was an alchemist, and I was turning whatever I could into the most golden moments I could, and I still try to do that.
You can give yourself credit for that though, Stephanie. I mean, yes, there might have been like some foundational things that like outside of your control, but not everybody who's put in those types of situations do what you've done with it. Like, like
Yeah.
so, you do have to give yourself credit.
Okay.
But my first knowledge of when you really put yourself out there, because when we met together, we were both sort of on this like corporate track.
Yes.
That's where we got to know each other. And then you did the leap, and
I mean, I did, but, like, did I know I was doing it? I don't know, Amy.
you had to have known that you were taking a big
Yeah.
leap.
I did. I knew. I knew. I was giving up a lucrative career with a positive trajectory,
Yeah.
in my just past mid-20s, thinking I knew stuff. Yeah, it
Which
was a leap.
you obviously knew stuff. And so you decided to just like launch your own business in an area that you had no it's
No, nothing.
yeah, yeah. So why? Like
Why?
why? How?
Oh, man, that is such a loaded question. The why I'm proud of. I'm proud of the why because I knew that it was my time to go. I knew when I told all of my employees, my coworkers, the shock in their eyes and in their words told me, you know what, you got out at the right time because you never want to leave something when it's too late. I try to be as proactive as I can in life, in business and love and everything because proactivity, though it's hard and it takes a little bit more time, it does yield better results. And so in the end, it was a leap, but I was so glad to know I had burnt no bridges. Everyone was sad to see me go. And, that gave me even a little bit more security,
Yeah.
strangely, I think, in moving forward. It's just nice to know that when they don't have to say something kind, people were happy that my light had shone and that they had a chance to stand beside me, work with me, learn from me as we were all learning together. So that's part of the why is I didn't want to be completely miserable. But internally, I was. I mean, I was home crying every night. My husband was like, "Stephanie, you're miserable. Like, what are you doing?" But he truly was not super supportive. I think he was afraid. He knew that I could do what I had set my mind to, but I was 27, 28 years old, and I didn't have a track record at that point, aside from my corporate track record, which,
Right.
let's be honest, when you have the corporate backing, that gives you strength as well. Because if you fail, you still get a paycheck, might not be as big of one, but so there's some safety and comfort in that. The how, I just I just fucking did the damn thing. I made a decision and I faked it until I made it. And I don't want to say that I faked what I was doing, but I faked the I acted as if, which I learned from our corporate background. I acted as if I was already successful. Now we call it manifestation, right? Now we know so much more in the year 2025 than we did in 1998 or 9 when I made this choice. So I believe I just believed. I
Yep.
knew I could do it and I couldn't see any reason why, this faux soft pillow to land on, it wasn't giving me more skill. It was just giving me some safety that really was just created in my own mind.
So you actually did get a lot from your corporate experience because I think it kind of gave you sort of like
Lot.
a birthplace for the skills that you had inside of you that just kind of like came out and that you had a chance to hone. Um,
Absolutely.
but choosing so the listeners need to know what you decided to do was launch
Okay.
fashion company, right? Like
Clothing manufacturing company.
a clothing manufacturing company at 20
Yeah.
something years old. Uh,
With no experience in clothing or manufacturing, by the way, or design. At the time, I couldn't draw well. I had never sewn on a sewing machine.
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
My employees taught me.
Uh, and then you started designing your own stuff in there and like it, so tell me give me a little bit of the history of that company.
Okay. So that company began just a few short months after I left. Well, hold on. In the interim, for about maybe 18 months or so, I did some corporate training and development and coaching. And that was a beautiful experience. But what I realized from that was getting in and getting out quickly wasn't as fulfilling for me as I wasn't able to see the growth or the change or the results that I yielded. So as I was doing consulting, I just realized there weren't things out there that I wanted. And within 6 weeks, I was already selling to my first boutique and saying it out loud because I haven't said that in a really long time. It is kind of like, whoa, that's okay, that's something. I'll give you that. And it was all just that acting as if I found resources. I asked infinite questions and I became a salesperson to what I wanted. I just was determined to get it. And I was selling it to myself, using all of the techniques and things that I had used in my years to become as successful as I had. It was the same formulation. It was just plugging in a different product and a different platform and a different quote unquote title for me in some respects. So it wasn't that I was working any harder. I was just working differently for a different purpose. Someone said to me yesterday, he said, I have a really hard time when I hear people say, oh, I work so hard. He said, because aside from manual, physical, taxing labor on our feet, I work so long. Okay. Work is stressful. Work takes it out of me, but hard. So, I really wasn't doing anything differently. I was now doing it for myself and for my own family, as opposed to the ultimate bottom dollar being shared, I'll say.
Right. So how long did you keep that business going? What?
So I had that business. I kept that business for 22 years. And I paused it due to something completely unrelated to the business. My husband was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer, and I needed to give him and our three little ones, who at the time were all under 5, every ounce of myself. And I knew I couldn't do both. But aside
Mm,
from that, we would still be trucking.
yeah. So what year was that?
That
Where
was 2022.
a short and a very, very long 3 years, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Stephanie, one of the areas of joy that I got to experience from afar,
Mm,
from you, was as you and Tracy were, not only as you first got together and just following your beautiful love story,
mhm,
um, but then also following the family that you were building
mm,
together. It came at a time when I was trying to figure out what I was doing with family, whether or not I wanted to be a mom and how what that would look like.
I
And
remember.
you gave me hope because, you started your family later. Like, how old were you when you had the babies?
I was 45 when I had Dashi, and I was 49 when I gave birth to identical twin girls.
Whew, whew,
It gets me choked up.
yes, yes. I mean,
Yeah,
that was just beautiful. And to just to see how you and Tracy were together as a family and just seeing all those miracles coming to fruition, it would fill me up with light every time I read a new update or saw pictures of you guys or, you know, every time you shared a video of baby Dashi and like
aw,
it was just so, so beautiful. And I know that you started out doing that to sort of document this
yeah,
beautiful life that you all were having together.
yeah.
Probably not I'm sure you didn't really know how it impacts, like, the people that get to see it, right?
Amy, I had no idea. I had no idea. It goes I I'm gonna speak about Facebook because this is what we're specifically talking about, Instagram as well, but Facebook more so. When I joined Facebook back in 2007, it was before memes and, TikTok wasn't around and YouTube was there, of course, but it just people weren't sending inspirational things like they do today. And I would wake up in the mornings and I would just talk, and share. And I started to notice then in those early years that, whoa, people like what I'm saying to the degree that I'm getting messages constantly. I open up my computer and the first thing I do is log on to Facebook so I can read it, what you've said and that later filtered down or up into, similar context with my children and with my love story because I'm public, but I'm very private. I'm an open book, but I am also very private when it comes to personal things that are not filled with joy. I don't utilize social media as a platform to discuss my woes or to speak ill of anyone. And I think that that as well brings light and joy to people. When you see someone consistently day after day, week after week, year after year, finding that inside of them and then sharing it. And so you go forward to Dashi and then the twins, and then you fast forward to Tracy's illness journey and, the level of inspiration that even that has provided for people has been awe inspiring to me. It's filled me with awe. It's inspired me. It has shocked me. And I don't exactly know why. I guess I just think, oh, well, yeah, they thought that was great, but no one's going to care about this. And you're right. I, in no way, was doing this for anyone but my own family. All of
Right.
my book albums since 2007 are written by season and by year or by event, so that even my three bonus big boys, as they were growing up and living with us off and on or whatnot, could go back and, hey, Steph, remember when I dyed my hair blonde on top? Can you show? And I'll forward them the photos. And so, yeah, it's been a phenomenal way to stay connected. And when used positively, I think that it can bring almost nothing but joy to the very thing that we all need, which is that human connection. We all need to know we're not alone, as well as celebrate with others. You can hear a little bit of passion in that, but I do have a lot to say because that has truthfully and through COVID been such an incredible way. Yeah, with
Well,
business, family.
you were still running your business through the bulk of it until a couple years ago. And we all went through the global pandemic, but you went through it with 3 little babies. And
Yeah.
shortly thereafter getting Tracy's diagnosis with, I mean, he was the love of your life and you just had this beautiful
Great.
family. And I know that you've learned a lot from that, and I feel like you've impacted so many people even while experiencing it all. I'd love to hear a little bit about, like, how do you do it? Like, how you've had enough put on your shoulders. A lot of people would just, crack. And I'm not and I'm sure you've had days and moments and times where that's you just wanted to crawl into a cave and, like, hide, but you still there's something in you. I would
If
love
someone needs a snack, Amy.
That's right, like, you haven't had time. I mean, like, how what have you learned? Like, you say you're in
Uh,
awe of everything that has kind of happened, but tell me about that.
yeah. What have I learned? I've learned that all of us, all of us are stronger than we ever want to know.
Mm.
Because when we're tested, most of us don't give up. I might have, I did make it look, I don't know. How did I make it look, Amy?
I mean, okay, so from somebody watching from afar, I did see the pain and the struggle, but it wasn't blatant,
Yeah.
right? Like, so, as you after Tracy got his diagnosis and his journey then, I mean, you would document moments with him and the children that just reflected and resonated everything that you were feeling just in, like, that one image or that one video. I mean, you could feel the intense love, the fear, the pain, like, all of it. Like, you c
Yeah.
it was all there. You didn't have to, like, you didn't talk about yourself, and you didn't have to talk about, "Woe is me," or "Why us," or anything like that, and yet we still I feel like we still got some of what it really was that you were going through.
Yeah. Interesting. I want to speak first on what you just said, which was why us. And I refuse to say that because for me, Amy, it was more why not us? Beautiful, healthy children, no illnesses or ailments of our own in our lives. 6 healthy children for Tracy. I would be remiss not to speak of the first 3 original Johnson boys. It was I said to him, weeks later, "Why not us?" It was our time. It was our turn. I wasn't angry at God. I'm still not angry at God. I don't wanna go, too religious. I'm just a very faithful person, and that has waned, off and on through the years, and I would get on my knees, and when I would pray, I would pray just for wisdom and strength for my kids. Dear God, let me find the strength within myself so that I don't give up because I can't. And I will give myself credit. I never even felt close to giving up. Giving in,
Mhm.
maybe a little sometimes you just feel like, what am I fighting for? What am I fighting against? With this specifically, because it could be a euphemism, but for this specifically, these were cancerous cells that their sole job were to kill my husband.
Mhm.
And, very, very rare disease. And so the way that I did it was just to keep doing it. And it sounds so ridiculous, but when I woke up in the morning, again, I acted as if I went about my day. I created the joy. I found the joy. When daddy would trip and fall, I would giggle and laugh and turn to the kids. He is so silly. Jump on top of him, and we'd all make a little cuddle puddle, on the floor with daddy. One day, en route to an appointment, running a little bit behind, I had to drop the kids because they're not allowed at the hospital. It was our first chemo, I believe, and I was trying to buckle Tracy in. He was having a hard time with his left side visual field, and I popped a tire. And inside, I was like, it's done now. I killed him. We're going to miss the chemo. The 3 kids are in the back. Do I turn around now and say, it's me, it's my fault, sorry, kids. If I had just gotten my ass up a few minutes, like, you know what I mean? Like, so because those moments, they happen in regular life, they happen in cancerous life, they just fucking happen. And so that was our new normal. And the only way that I could make sense out of it, Amy, was to keep acting in each moment as if joy was coming in the next. And I never knew because, as a type A woman who was a business owner for over 2 decades, who now is a mother of 3, which requires a lot, as we all know, of organization and managerial skills and, to give up control, Amy, not just to this disease, but I was having to give up control to doctors who I didn't even get a chance to vet. I mean, we were do or die, literally. And it was like, I investigated the Jeep Grand Cherokee we bought on the safety for children in the back seat more than I got to check on the surgeon that was going to remove half of my husband's cranium. So I quickly learned that control was no longer an option. So I was just going to have to go with it. So you asked me what I learned. That is one thing that I'm still learning, but I had to learn it really fast because
Mm.
there was no time to cry. Sometimes there was no time to bitch or moan. Oh, why me? Pull up your big girl panties, keep it trucking, sister. Cause I was all I had. And forgive me, my team, my village, my friends, my family, but don't ask, don't tell had a very different meaning for me because sometimes I had to swallow the new bit of information first before I could even disseminate it out to friends or family. Some of the people, Amy, closest to me in my life still on this day have not heard the full story. Such a story. It's so big. It's so vast. There were so many inner workings and there just wasn't time. And why, right? Unless I'm finding a cure for cancer in this phone call or unless I'm figuring out a way to get my 2-year-olds, to sleep through then I gotta. So, the lessons I learned were keep your compassion, Stephanie. God gave you empathy. He gave you this enormous, loving heart like no other because he knew you were going to have to do this, right? Like, I believe our script has long been written. And this brain tumor, it had its job long ago. And I truly know that my job was, my job was to be the one that was there until his very last breath, until my husband's very last breath. I was the one given the job to show 3 humans that were in our house, but whoever else was watching that it can be done, and it can be done with grace because it's really freaking easy to be nice and sweet and Pollyanna Stephanie, the world is lovely when things are great. A little bit harder if you have infertility, a little bit harder when you lose someone, a little bit harder when your husband, at 50 years old is diagnosed with a terminal disease and you're told 12 months. It's even harder still when he, as a professional athlete, doesn't want to know the prognosis. So you swallow it for him and you can't tell your best friend that your best friend is dying. And again, it's really easy to be who you are or who you think you are when times are good. But the true test of who the hell we really are, they come from trauma, from tragedy. They come from pain. They come from, this is not going to be okay.
Right.
It is, but it's not, you know? It comes from rethinking your life as a single mom when you had been through a marriage and fought through and chose someone with such intention to raise a family in order to show them something neither of us were able to have growing up. So just, adopting all those news in my mind that nothing was going to go as planned, I learned that control, in summary, learned that timing is not ours. Time is not ours. We only have so much control. And so I also learned to adopt a word that I use all the time with many things, and I use it a lot with my children. And that word is intention. And I've learned to dig past actions and look deeper for intention. I've learned when you're faced with medical mishaps that actually cost your husband months of their life, you learn as an alchemist how to turn that into a lesson, how to turn that into something that can benefit maybe society at large one day,
Mhm.
maybe. And that would have made my husband, that would have made him so proud. He was so giving, and he would love to know that anything, any part of his journey in life or after help even one person. So a lot still to learn, a lot of lessons I know still yet to come, but I've had quite a large chunk in the last little bit. So
Wow. Yeah. I admire there there has to be faith that's involved, the fact that you were able to sort of maintain hope for the future and, like, the joy that could be coming around the corner and holding so there had to have been faith in that. But I'm also sure that there can't always be a silver lining. Like, sometimes it's
God,
just,
no.
sometimes it just fucking sucks, right? And it's
If sometimes I did a t-shirt in my clothing line. It is what it is, and sometimes that sucks.
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because
And
just because we can't change it doesn't mean we have to like it.
right, right. Yeah, but I think the difference is that you don't even that truth, you don't let that stop you. You're persistent in your pursuit of joy and happiness and being the mama you wanna be for those 3 glorious
Yeah.
so I see that from you. Um, so
Thanks.
now you're in this new era of, like, figuring out what's next.
Yeah.
How have you been doing with that?
Oh gosh, it's horrible. You said it's well,
Yes.
saying it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks, but then it's also been enlightening. It's also been empowering. There was a time a few months after Tracy passed, and I was like, I could paint my bathroom pink. I don't even like pink. It's just this. Well, how do you like that? Because Amy, I think you and I talked about this in a personal conversation, but I had not been single really for more than a little interim. I was a serial monogamer since I was 19 years old.
Right. Right.
And now I'm single and I have 3 kids and, this business, what am I gonna do with that? And what am I gonna do with my life? Where am I gonna find joy? Where am I gonna find happiness? How am I gonna create it? Right? Because it's not this seek and find. Oh, joy, there you are. No, it's not that easy. So we have to make it. And there are, today is not a good day for me. I'm not feeling my best, Stephanie. I've been a little meh, and meh has never been me. I'm just not that chick. I just
Mhm.
don't enjoy feeling stagnant. I don't enjoy feeling sadness, and so I change it. So it's out of selfish intent because
Mhm.
I mean, I remember like, can't someone just like punch me, knock me out, bruise my body? Because this heart thing is for the bird. It was treacherous, the pain. Just
Mhm.
treacherous. And trying to smile through it for children. I learned inside of that intention. My intention is I've got to be authentic. My kids to see what this really is. And they did. And I let it ride. And, they would, I think, find joy in being able to comfort me sometimes. And, do you miss daddy, mommy? I mean, I alchemize death so much that I wonder now if my kids even understand the magnitude of it.
Mm.
because we had a celebration of light. Everyone was told to wear color. I set off 143 butterflies. We were at a nature preserve. So when it was serious time, I had someone come and take the kids to go and meet a 30-year-old tortoise named Pebbles. So the pain changes, the pain gets better. But what really happens is we learn and we make those choices every day that, like I said, I don't like the way that I feel here.
Mhm.
So I need to do whatever it's going to take me to get here. And I'm not saying I did that every day, every hour, every week. I faked it a lot. I'm still faking it a lot. But inside of faking, I find that there is true authenticity because we do all have so many blessings. There is so much joy in every or any moment that we allow it. So, those are my lessons for 2025. A little something that I just sort of started accidentally with the girls. I've never been one that loves to cook. Tracy was NFL turned amazing chef. And I just started enjoying cooking with my girls because I love to see it through them. So I'm taking something I don't like.
Yeah.
And again, selfishly, like it has to get done. I got to do it. So I'm going to turn it into a pairing, right? Like I'm going to maximize it like I do in business my time, my emotion, my energy, while I'm also hopefully putting something beautiful and positive into these other little beings that they can then turn and put out to the world so that they can stay gold. Because hurt people hurt people. We know this. And when you're hurt and you're 5 or when you're hurt and you're 4, you know, what do you do with that? And so I was just determined that I cannot let my children think that any of those worldly concepts that we've adopted are okay. And that first started with self, with me and modeling sorry, what I wanted, them to feel. I wanted them to feel it and be it, but most importantly, I just wanted them to be happy, and they were, God bless them. I mean, they were so close to their dad, and I swear to you, I don't know that any of them have shed an actual physical tear over daddy's death. They have found red cardinals, our wind chimes. Willow has adopted hearts as her little mantra to daddy. The girl's first letter to draw was T, for Tracy, their daddy. So they find beauty in it.
Mhm.
So, there's a lot left to come. They don't know what they don't know. There are going to be
Yeah.
daddy daughter dances and things, but we'll deal with those when they come.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, from where I sit, you're doing a glorious job, and you're just exhibiting superhuman strength.
I mean, I don't know. I hear this and I love you for this. And I love people that support me. I want to see it as others see it. And I'm learning to focus on what I am doing and not all the things I'm not.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I just think that you have a great sense of hope around you. You have an incredible strength, but it's you just like you said, you have such a loving, giving heart, and I
Mhm.
I I just feel like that's what carries you through, and that's like one of the biggest gifts that you have
Thank
for
you.
this world at a time where we need more of that. You know,
I'm
so
not giving up because we do.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing the paths you follow from here on out and how things unfold. Because I know that your impact on the world has just it's barely begun. There's so much more that I think is coming. So I'm excited to
Thank
see
you,
that.
Randy. Thank you. Thank you. I can't
Oh,
tell you honestly how much it means to me to have your vote of confidence and your support and your love. And thank
yep.
you for seeing in me what you see in me and what you've always seen in me. I love you for that.
Love you. I'll be rooting for you every step of the way.
Likewise, my friend.
Thank you.
Okay, talk
Thanks
soon.
for talking. We will do this again. We have got
Yeah.
a lot more stuff to talk about.
Oh, yes, we do.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Blueprint Breakers podcast, Light Among Shadows, Stephanie's story. And a very special thank you to my guest and friend, Stephanie Johnson. And thank you again for listening and sharing this episode with your friends. If you haven't done it yet, please join us in our Blueprint Breakers Facebook group. Have a great week. Keep on breaking those blueprints and rewriting your own.